name is Welcome. Just a short notice from his CV. He is the Director of Public Advocacy for Christian Solidarity International, an interconfessional human rights group which assists victims of religious persecution in 15 countries around the world. Mr. Welcome, you have the floor. Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Mafidas. It's a great privilege to be here today to talk to you all about this crucial human rights issue. Each of the 20 men who's being held in Baku right now is a human life, a person with a family who waits for his return. Each of these cases is a human rights emergency in its own right. But more than these 20 lives is at stake in this discussion here today. The imprisonment of these men must be understood as part of the larger project by the Azerbaijani state to destroy the Armenian community of Nagorno-Karabakh, also called Artsakh. The question of Nagorno-Karabakh is in turn tied to the question of what kind of international order will emerge from the period we are living in now, a period of protracted interstate warfare of the kind that international relations experts used to regard as a thing of the past. I'd like to begin today with a quote from one of the hostages who we are here today to speak about, Mr. David Babian, the former foreign minister of the Republic of Artsakh. It is the last public statement we have from Mr. Babian, and it was made on his Facebook page on September 28, 2023. Some context for this statement. This was 9 days after the armed forces of Azerbaijan launched an invasion of Nagorno-Karabakh. For 9 months leading up to that invasion, Azerbaijan blockaded the Lachin corridor, the only road connecting Nagorno-Karabakh to the Republic of Armenia, and from there to the outside world. The 120,000 Armenian Christians living in Nagorno-Karabakh were trapped. Supplies of food, medicine, and fuel dwindled to dangerously low levels, and the population began to suffer from hunger and preventable illnesses. The miscarriage rate among pregnant women in Nagorno-Karabakh tripled. On September 19th, Azerbaijan launched an attack on the entire territory of Artsakh. The attack quickly overwhelmed the local self-defense forces, and it also knocked out nearly all the communications networks in the area. The majority of the Armenian population was forced to flee from their homes to escape the shelling, but with the Lachin corridor closed, there was nowhere for them to flee to. For 5 days, the Armenians sheltered in place, unable to return to their homes to search for their relatives, unable to call their friends to check on them, unable to evacuate the wounded to the few hospitals that still functioned after 9 months of blockade. Armenians who did venture out risked getting shot or detained by Azerbaijani troops. Then, on September 24, it was announced that Azerbaijan was going to reopen the Lachin corridor. Anyone who wanted to leave Nagorno-Karabakh would be allowed to pass through the Azerbaijani checkpoint and find refuge in Armenia. But it was not known how long the corridor would stay open, and it was not known who would be allowed to pass. Nevertheless, the terror, hunger, and violence inflicted against the Armenian population was so great that virtually the entirety of them crammed themselves into whatever vehicles were available and still had enough fuel to operate, and drove down the Lachin corridor towards Armenia. Because of the congestion, a journey that normally takes 2 hours took most families 2 days, or even longer. As this exodus was underway, David Babian made his final public statement. He wrote on his Facebook page, quote, "Dear compatriots, friends, party members, you all know that I am included in the black list of Azerbaijan, and the Azerbaijani side demanded my arrival in Baku for an appropriate investigation. I decided to head from Stepanakert to Shushi today, Shushi being the city that was under Azerbaijani control, so he was saying he was going to turn himself in. Quote, this decision will naturally cause great pain, anxiety, and stress, primarily to my loved ones, but I am sure they will understand. My failure to appear, or worse, my escape, will cause serious harm to our long-suffering nation, to many people, and I, as an honest person, hard worker, patriot, and Christian, cannot allow this. God bless our people. May the Almighty reduce their suffering and heal their wounds." End quote. I cite the statement today for two reasons. First, because it shows that the hostages we're talking about are not just victims. They've also behaved heroically and with great dignity throughout the events that led up to their abduction and since then. But the second reason is that this message shows that David Babian understood that in a very real sense, in 2023, the entire Armenian population of Nagorno-Karabakh was being held hostage. Mr. Babian knew that if he did not cooperate with the Azerbaijanis, they were ready to inflict even more punishment on the entire population. It was clear to everyone that ethnic cleansing was going to happen. There was no question of the Armenians being allowed to remain in their homeland. The only question was whether the Azerbaijanis would allow them to leave safely, or if there would be a general massacre or other atrocities. This threat was made quite explicitly by Elchin Amirbayov, a representative of the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, in an interview with Deutsche Welle on September 7, just 12 days before Azerbaijan's invasion. Asked by the reporter if his country was carrying out a genocide in Nagorno-Karabakh, Amirbayov replied, "A genocide may happen only if this clique of separatists continue to hold hostage their own population in order to get to their political goals." By this clique of separatists, Mr. Amirbayov was referring to the elected government of the Republic of Artsakh, 8 current and former members of which today sit in jail cells in Baku. If these men did not comply with Azerbaijan's wishes, Mr. Amirbayov said, quote, "A genocide may happen." In the event, on September 28th, the President of the Republic of Artsakh, Samvel Shahramanyan, announced that he would comply with Azerbaijan's demands and dissolve the republic, in exchange for Azerbaijan guaranteeing free, voluntary, and unhindered travel for the Armenians. By any measure, in Nagorno-Karabakh, Azerbaijan carried out one of the most complete, most successful ethnic cleansing campaigns in modern history. In the space of 7 days, in September 2023, the population of Nagorno-Karabakh went from nearly 120,000 Armenians to less than 50. Today, there are probably 0. This conflict did not begin, of course, in 2023. It began during an earlier wave of ethnic cleansing in the late 1980s and early 1990s. In 1991, Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh were facing blockade, regular bombardment, and deportations by Azerbaijani and Soviet troops. They responded by exercising their right to self-determination. They seceded from the Soviet Union, just as Armenia and Azerbaijan did the same year, and created their own republic, officially named the Republic of Artsakh. While the Republic of Artsakh remained unrecognized, for 30 years it was a reality on the ground. Through the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the international community created a mechanism called the Minsk Group to resolve the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. The Minsk Group was co-chaired by France, Russia, and the United States. This peace process took many turns, but through it all, the right of the people of Nagorno-Karabakh to self-determination was accepted by all parties as an essential part of any final peace settlement in the region. It is for this reason that between 1997 and 2020, the co-chairs of the Minsk Group regularly traveled to Stepanakert, the capital of Artsakh, to conduct official meetings with the political leadership of the Republic of Artsakh. Other representatives of the Minsk Group engaged with the leaders of Artsakh from 1992 all the way to 2023. Throughout the entire lifespan of the conflict, international institutions consistently approached Artsakh officials as legitimate dialogue partners, and rightly so. Today, many of these officials are being illegally held in Baku's prisons. These include former presidents Arkady Lukasyan, Bako Sahakian, and Araik Harutyunyan, as well as former Foreign Minister David Babian. In Baku, these men have been put on trial on a range of preposterous charges, from genocide to financing terrorism to slavery. They have been subjected to show trials which fall absurdly short of minimal international standards of fairness. Their lawyers have not even been given copies of the final verdicts against them, much less the purported evidence of their guilt. But the true crime of these men is to have represented their people, to have been chosen to serve in a government established through an act of self-determination by the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh. By putting them in prison, Azerbaijan is finalizing its goal of destroying the existence of the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh as a people. 1 month after the ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh, President Ilham Aliyev of Azerbaijan boasted, "Many reiterated there is no military solution to this conflict. We have shown that there is. The topic is now closed." And this brings us to the crux of things, politically speaking. By not intervening on behalf of these 20 men, by not insisting that they be released, the international community is accepting what Azerbaijan has done. They are accepting that military force can be used to resolve conflicts, to nullify the right of peoples to self-determination, and to accomplish ethnic cleansing. If that were all, securing the release of these hostages would already be a matter of urgency for Europe and the European Union. But by staying silent about these hostages, Europe is in fact accepting something else. They are accepting Turkish hegemony over a strategically vital region. In recent months, there has been much celebration of Europe's warming relations with the Republic of Armenia. In May, a joint EU-Armenia summit and a summit of the European political community were both held in Yerevan, a rather ostentatious sign of deepening ties. But Europe has also been strengthening its relations with Azerbaijan, which is poised to become a key energy supplier and security partner. The European Commission has shown total disregard for Azerbaijan's atrocious human rights record, including the ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh. And Europe's warming ties with Armenia are based on Armenia's acceptance of a peace process with Azerbaijan shepherded by the European Union and the United States. This peace process has required Armenia to make enormous concessions to Azerbaijan, while almost nothing has been demanded from Azerbaijan in return. All this while Azerbaijan's leaders refuse to sign a final peace treaty and regularly refer to the entire Republic of Armenia as Western Azerbaijan, and insist that its citizens must be allowed to settle there. Let us be frank. Europe's policy in this region is creating a weak Armenia. And a weak Armenia will be of very limited value to Europe. Europe's policy is also empowering Turkey. The Republic of Turkey is Azerbaijan's closest military and strategic ally, a state with which it shares a language and a common history. Azerbaijan's military has worked hand in glove with Turkey's military in its campaigns against the Armenians since 2020. Turkish and Azerbaijani leaders both use the slogan, "Two states, one nation," to describe this alliance. The NATO summit in Ankara last week highlighted how Turkey is moving to the center of decision-making on a whole range of economic and security issues affecting Europe. Given Turkey's severe democratic deficits and its high-handed treatment of Europe on everything from migration to Ukraine, Turkey's rise poses serious challenges to Europe, to say the least. The end process of Europe's current policy is that Armenia will be required to integrate itself into Turkey's regional security architecture in order to maintain a semblance of sovereignty over its own territory. This Armenia will have no ability whatsoever to act as a counterweight against Turkish interests in this key section of the Middle Corridor. Europe seems to think that it is gaining access to valuable new trade routes and energy supplies in the Caucasus. In fact, it is handing them over to Turkey. A strong Armenia could be a useful ally to the European Union as Europe seeks to navigate an era of growing Turkish influence and weakening international norms. In order to empower Armenia, European policymakers will be prudent to look for ways to make the Armenia-Azerbaijan peace process less lopsided. intervening for the 20 Armenian hostages in Baku would be an excellent place to start. Thank you very much.